I study the social and cultural practices of finance, its growing dominance and influence, what I call financialization, and the relationship between those dynamics and increasing socio and economic inequality in the United States. And so we really have to think through the relationship between the larger financialization of corporations and growing socioeconomic insecurity and precarity.
Assuming the emotional states of other people is an important aspect of what glues us together. And it's also important in our sense of pretense. For example, if we're in a theatre surrounded by other people, that's what enables us to become involved or immersed in a play or in the words of a song. By studying this phenomenon in mice, we can begin to understand the genes, molecules, and neural circuits underlying empathy and disorders in which empathy is impaired.
My new book, Chicana Chicano Remix, Art and Errata Since the 60s, challenges and exposes the conventions of American art history. It looks really clearly at all the work that artists have been doing for over 50 years in Los Angeles and helps us rethink American studies, art history, and the United States.
So my current research project is titled Science Fiction Empire Japan. Now, what's interesting about Japanese science fiction is how, since the 1980s, in science fiction films like Blade Runner and others, Japan is often featured as a signifier of the future in the popular imagination. My interest in these questions comes in response to the popular perception that in recent decades it has become increasingly impossible to imagine a radically different future that is not merely an extension of the social conditions of the present. And this has the effect of limiting the political imagination for us today. It seems imperative to me that we be able to imagine a different world than the one we exist in today.
My research for the last several years has involved looking at notions of the good old days in America, Main Street, and how we think of what the good old days looked like. And nostalgia has become politicized. And I'm really very interested in how that works and the gap between reality of how these times and towns were pictured in the old days and what was actually going on there.
I've devoted myself for the last 35 years to promoting freedom of speech, freedom of press, and the public's right to know. Why do these things matter? Because without an informed electorate, we cannot possibly participate fully in our democratic system. Without the right to freely express our views, we cannot hold government accountable. So my mission and the work that I do with my graduate and undergraduate students is intended to promote those ideals. That is, the ideal that all of us have the right to express our views and to accurately report what the government is up to.